highly rated album since about Exile on Main Street, or in the early 70s and the middle 70s. Although their last album they released, Back to the Roots, was absolutely awesome. But they carried on lawsuits. Talking to lawsuits, 69, they filed a suit against Andrew Oldham and Nick Easton because of the Decca deal. They finally decided that that wasn't all that good for them. And in 69, they kicked off at their American tour. That was the first since that 1966 tour. And interestingly enough, they're supported by Tina Turner, but B.B. King and Chuck Berry. So the very people that had influenced them in the early days were now supporting them on major tours.
No, that would have been a great tour to see.
Oh, it would. And Terry Reid was one of the supporters as well. He was the guy that turned down the opportunity to be the lead singer for Led Zeppelin when Zeppelin was being put together.
And he's like, oh, what did I do that for?
Well, he must wonder occasionally, what if? I mean, there are some big what ifs in this life, and that's got to be one of them.
Yeah, but Zeppelin wouldn't have gotten anywhere without Robert Plant. He was Zeppelin in pretty much every way.
Absolutely. They're another one of these bands, like the Beatles and Stones and The Who, where the band itself is so much bigger than any of the individuals, and they just gelled absolutely, completely as a single unit.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Listening there. Don't go anywhere. The John LeBang Show's going to be right back. Just ask the hillbilly.
That's right. Right after this.
What about me? Maybe next time.
Powerful, epic music by Two Bucks Row. Life-changing lyrics come in every style, empowering humanity to finally unlock the chains of bondage. Experience the edgy side of positive music and rock your world today. From Primal to Divine, available now at sassyalternativemusic.com.
If you want to contact the John LeBang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John LeBang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John LeBang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
But that was the tour they recorded to Get Your Yah-Yahs Out. I think 9 of the 10 songs, certainly most of them, come from a couple of nights at the Madison Square Garden, where Janis Joplin got on stage one night to duet with Tina Turner. That would have been worth seeing.
Damn right.
I mean, technically not part of the tour, but they rounded off that American jaunt with the Altamontes concert on the 6th of December. And sadly, that's the one that ended with the death of Meredith Hunter, and often thought really as a spiritual end of the 1960s. They became tax exiles in 71. Income tax in the UK was 90%. So they had a goodbye Great Britain tour and went off to live in France. And that's the sort of time that Rolling Stones Records came into existence, and they released Brown Sugar, which was the first single on the Rolling Stones label.
And that was in 71, right?
71, yeah. And then more lawsuits. 71, there was a lawsuit with Alan Klein to try and get the rights to the songs back, but they didn't succeed in that. And then 72, they had their legendary American Exile on Main Street tour. And the Stones seem to have a history of 2 or 3 or 4 year gaps between tours, because that previous American tour had been the first since 66. This one's the first since 69. And this is the one that goes down in rock and roll legend, really. I mean, it had the concert film Ladies and Gentlemen, but they had tear gas. Police used tear gas at a concert in Tucson. They partied at Hugh Hefner's Playboy Mansion. Somebody put a bomb under one of the trucks and blew it up in Montreal. And Mick and Keith were arrested after a gig on the 18th of July for thumping a photographer.
Now, according to your notes, Stevie Wonder opened this tour?
That's right, yeah.
I mean, can you imagine? I just try to think about all the concerts I missed because I was either too young or wasn't even born.
Right.
Stevie Wonder and the Rolling Stones would have just been. I mean, and you're talking both bands or both groups in their prime.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Stevie Wonder in those days would have been absolutely awesome to see. Absolutely incredible. I mean, it just shows the stature of the Stones, that you've got someone like Stevie Wonder who's more than happy to open for them. I mean, they were enormous by the time you get to the early 70s. I mean, they've been enormous, basically, for a very long time.
So what about this thumping of a photographer? Was he just in their face and they just couldn't stand it anymore? Paparazzi?
I think so. I think he was just getting a little bit too close for comfort. And they took umbrage to it and gave him a bit of a slap, as they say.
Keith Richards, I love it!
Yeah, exactly. Oh, won't do that again. But, I mean, Mick Taylor, of course, we're coming to the end of the Mick Taylor era now, because that was a good era. There was some really good stuff, I think, when Mick Taylor was with them. Because, I mean, he's got a heck of a blues pedigree. And he left them, well, he actually left on the 12th of December, 74, and he joined the Jack Bruce Band. His last album with them was It's Only Rock and Roll. And Ron Wood joined them in 75. They had an upcoming American tour, and he joined to help out on the American tour, because he was technically still with the Faces. So when he wasn't playing with the Stones, he was playing with the Faces at that particular time. So that was quite a gig. He got himself sorted out with in the middle 70s. But it wasn't a clear-cut thing, I think, that he was going to be the replacement, because the Black and Blue album features Harvey Mandel and Ron Wood, and I think the idea was that it came down to a choice between the two of them, because Harvey Mandel, of course, got a good pedigree, people like John Mayall again, and Canned Heat he was with for a while, and they both played 2 or 3 songs on the Black and Blue album, and it was after that Black and Blue album in 76 that Ron Wood joined as a permanent member.
Which they keep replacing members here to keep going, but the basic of the band, the foundation, still always was there.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it was only the guitarist that was changing, unlike a lot of bands where they have quite a throughput of people. But sadly, I mean, we move on in quite big chunks now. In 1985, Ian Stewart actually died. Sadly, died in the doctor's waiting room while he was waiting for an appointment. He had a heart attack. I suppose if you've got to go, that's the place to be. But
well,
I mean,
one place you want to be. There's a couple other places I'd rather be, but we won't talk about it here.
That's probably true. That's very true. But he's one of the real unsung heroes. I mean, he played a big part. He's credited on an awful lot of Stones albums and singles as playing on them. And he actually features on Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll track on the 4th album. So he's a very highly rated guy. And then, of course, in 92, Bill Wyman left, and he was replaced by Darryl Jones. But you'll note that Darryl Jones is never referred to as a Rolling Stone, although he has played with them since he joined them in 92.
Is he still with them?
Yeah.
And he's still not referred to as a band member?
No, and if you look at the photographs of the Rolling Stones, you'll find it's Sant's bass player. So I suppose it's because of the Prime stuff really was very much before Bill Wyman left. But he's listed as a band member on the website, and on the website it says that he continues to play with them. So I couldn't find anything that suggested he wasn't going to be playing on this latest tour.
It just reminds me of the drummer situation with the latest Black Sabbath tour. He was the drummer from Ozzy's band, but they really never gave him credit as the Black Sabbath member.
I think it's probably because, I mean, these bands come out of the 60s and 70s, and I think people who join 20 years later, you just don't think of them. The band doesn't sort of think of them as being in that inner sanctum, as it were.
Sure, I understand.
But interestingly enough, Bill Wyman and Mick Taylor joined the Stones on stage in 2012 at their 50th anniversary show at the O2 Arena on the 25th of November, 2012. That would have been a good gig to be at.
Now, that might have been one of the earliest internet broadcasts ever.
That's right. In '94, it is rated to be the first live internet broadcast by a major band, and that was in Dallas when they were doing a Voodoo Lounge concert. But if anybody's ever wondered why Richard Ashcroft isn't credited as the writer of the Bittersweet Symphony on Urban Hymns, it's because they sampled. Well, it was actually Andrew Oldham orchestra version of The Last Time, and Alan Klein took a dim view afterwards of how much they'd sampled, and he told them to either take Bittersweet Symphony and Urban Hymns off the market, or recredit it with Jagger and Richard as the writers. So if you actually look at, if anybody's got a CD of that, if you check out the credits, you'll find that the songwriting credit for Bittersweet Symphony goes to just Jagger and Richards.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. But now we come right up to 2016 and the last album they released, and that was their first studio album in over a decade. Album called Blue and Lonesome, and no Jagger Richard compositions. It's back to the sort of first album time with covers of a lot of the blues legends, Willie Dixon and the like.
And that's their most recent album, and that's...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now we're at the tour, and you can see them. They're at Dublin, across the UK and Europe. Kick off on May the 17th, and the dates at the moment are to July the 8th. But if you look at the website, you'll see a couple of those dates indicated as recently added. Oh, and they'll sell everywhere out, because everybody knows that. I mean, Jagger is 74 or 75,
and he's still. I mean, how? And Keith Richards is what, 250, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he should have been dead years ago. But one embodiment of the rock and roll myth. I mean, the guy is awesome.
And everything you told me tonight, Derek, and told the listeners, you can find everything except the tour dates from your book, right? Inside your book?
That's right. Rock and Roll Unravelled tells a story of rock and roll from its roots right through to mid-70s punk. So virtually all of these stories today are taken straight out of the book. And the tour dates, of course, and information you can get on the website. So it's all there somewhere to be had in the wonderful world of Rock and Roll Unravelled.
And your website is rockandrollunraveled.com.
That's right.
And you're on Twitter and Facebook and all those other great places, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Facebook is Rock and Roll Unravelled, and Twitter is RNR Unravelled. And there's lots of information about this and other things on there as well.
Any final words before I let you go, Derek?
Just one thing. If you happen to be in the UK, and particularly if you happen to be in the north of England, I'm doing a book signing in Leeds at a book and record fair on the 14th of April in Leeds at the Kirkgate Market. So that should be fun.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to seeing those pictures, because I just can't. I'll try to make it, but that's a long drive, and there's a big pond in the way. And,
exactly.
But I'm sure you'll be posting pictures and stuff. I mean, you are very active on the social media in general. Well, Derek, I thank you again for joining us this month. We'll see you again next month, and I'm sure you're going to have more interesting rock and roll history for us to just absorb.
Oh, I've really enjoyed it. It's been really good fun.
That was Derek Shelmerdine of Rock and Roll Unravelled.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Tune in again next week. Same time, same space, same station.
Resistance